Canelo Álvarez tells the truth about Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford gets in his feelings about it. Canelo said other than Errol Spence, he ain't really beat no real good fighters.
No one thinks Terence Crawford, who has never fought above 150 pounds, can beat Canelo Álvarez, 168 pounds, which is his normal weight. Fans have been asking for this fight for months, and thanks to Turki Alalshik's management, it looks like it will happen in Las Vegas in September.
Made official? Is it official?
It's on, baby. September 13, baby. Look forward to it. Crawford versus Canelo. Listen how I said it.
Hey, are we getting this confirmation here?
The tension between Crawford and Canelo has only grown stronger. Things reached a boiling point during a recent run-in at an airport. Both attackers were in the same place at the same time to meet with Turki Alalshik. They began by talking, but things quickly turned physical. Canelo shot but a cold look and said that Crawford didn't belong at 168 pounds, but snapped back and called Canelo out for the conditions of his last fight.
The crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not do that.
The tension reached a breaking point when a shove led to Canelo throwing a short, sharp blow that fell on Crawford's chest, making those around them rush in to separate them before things got out of hand. When the police arrived, they pulled the two fighters apart, but it was clear that this fight was going to be personal. Canelo, smirking, brushed off Crawford's stare, muttering something about Crawford being too small and not worth the effort, but insiders say the confrontation didn't end there. According to people who knew what was going on, Crawford and Canelo kept yelling at each other as they were led away, but called Canelo a cherry picker and made fun of his past fights. Canelo, on the other hand, is said to have told his team, "This guy doesn't know what he wants. He's about to get hurt."
Biggest fight in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're looking at Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, this is the next thing.
Crawford was already annoyed when Saul Alvarez said mean things about the quality of opponents the Nebraska native has faced in his career. Now it's his trainer Brian McIntyre who is upset with the Guadalajara native. The problem is the rehydration clause that Canelo is said to demand of his opponents, which means that they can't weigh more than a certain amount for the fight after stepping on the scales. The Bud won't have to meet this condition and won't. Ask the Mexican. Even if he is heavier, the first thing that came out of his mouth was that he wanted the fight. If Terence doesn't have a problem with that, I don't either.
Oh, that's 2 more weight classes. Like once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down. You know?
That's not true. It's for wimps when they say you can't lift more than that weight. People in the ring asked McIntyre if they would ask for this clause for the Mexican boxer. He said, "This is boxing. I have the skills. You stepped on the scale. You gave the weight. And no matter how much you come back after you accepted the fight, let's get in the ring and fight like men. It's that easy." Terence Crawford seeks to show his greatness against Canelo Álvarez. Terence Crawford minimized the weight gap with Saul Alvarez because it is in this type of demand when great fighters show who they
Eso. Venga.
People say you're too small, or you're outmatched, or you shouldn't be in the ring with this type of fighter. That's when great athletes perform at their best, he told Boxing Scene. Amir Khan is the only man to beat both Canelo Álvarez and Terence Crawford. The former unified super lightweight world champion stepped up to middleweight for a WBC title shot against Canelo back in May 2016, and despite a competitive start to the bout, was then stopped in emphatic fashion, as Álvarez claimed a brutal 6th-round knockout win 3 years later. And at his more natural weight of 147 pounds, Khan challenged Crawford for his WBO welterweight title. But it was a similar story with the Bolton boxer, who dropped in the first round before but claimed a 6th-round TKO victory. Canelo and Crawford look set to meet later this year in a highly anticipated clash between two of the current pound-for-pound greats, but Khan says there is another man he faced who it's even harder.
Crawford could beat him, because Crawford is a big 147 fighter and is strong as well, which a lot of people don't give him the credit for. I think that fight, if it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just...
Speaking on the Ahat Live podcast, Khan admitted that Marcos Maidana was the most powerful fighter he has ever been in the ring with. "I beat him in 2010. That guy's a beast. I cannot remember anything from the first round, and then the next thing, the fight was a blur. Man, I only get to remember things when I watch the fight back on TV. What a fight that was. Exciting. You had speed, power, and everything in there. He was very heavy-handed.
That's exactly what he's gonna do to him.
Nah, facts.
Years prior to him dropping him, he told Errol Spence on video, he said, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show you.
When he hits you, you feel it. It's not one of those stinging shots. I've been put down with shots that haven't hurt me. A flash knockout. But with him, he had that devastating power that would go through you even when he was next to you and hit you in the side of the ribs. You feel how heavy his hand is, so I have to say Maidana was the biggest hitter. Khan beat Maidana, a unanimous decision back in December 2010 to maintain his WBA super lightweight title in a fight that many view as one of the best of the year.
Get his big bank and get out. His big bank is who? Canelo. He will take that gamble, see if he can beat him. If he beats him, he may go fight Benavidez next. If he don't beat him, he say, okay, I took it as high as I could go. I'm done.
Boxing fans will be hoping another fight of the year contender comes later this year when Canelo and Crawford meet, and former Budo Errol Spence Jr. has given his opinion for the bout. Terence Crawford is facing an entirely different task against Canelo Álvarez, not just in terms of weight, but in the raw physicality of a fighter who has built his legacy dominating bigger opponents. Many in the boxing world are already calling this a dangerous leap for Crawford, but his catch stays unwavering in their confidence.
Clause, am I hearing that right? He wants full smoke at that weight.
Let's go, man. That's what Crawford wants. He wants to show the world that he's the best. So, hey, why put stipulations in there when you know that you can be the best?
For years, Canelo has been known for his ability to control the pace of a fight, walking down opponents with constant pressure. His durability is unmatched, having taken shots from power punchers like Gennady Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev, and Dmitry Bivol without crumbling. Crawford, on the other hand, has never faced an opponent who can carry that kind of sustained power over 12 rounds, and critics believe that will be the deciding factor. However, those inside the team Crawford argues that weight and power aren't the only elements that matter in a fight of this magnitude. According to them, Canelo has slowed down significantly, showing clear signs of vulnerability in recent fights.
There's nothing Crawford brings to the table Canelo hasn't seen. He's seen his boxing ability. He's seen speed. There's nothing that he don't have. He's seen Mayweather, man. He's seen Lara. He's seen all these guys, man. Nothing he brings at a smaller weight, too, coming back up. Now let's switch it to the other side. Has Crawford seen any?
They point to his fight against Jermall Charlo, where Canelo failed to achieve a knockout against a naturally smaller man despite Charlo being overly cautious throughout. Even more telling, they say, was Canelo's showing against Edgar Berlanga. Though he won, he didn't win in the way many expected. Berlanga, who lacks elite-level skills, managed to have his moments, and that alone is enough to give Crawford's team faith. If Berlanga could land clean shots, they say, what happens when Crawford, a far superior boxer, gets his opportunities?
It makes me laugh with all the antics that Canelo is doing and saying in the media and whatnot about the size, and he won't get no credit and all this type of things, but Canelo been fighting smaller.
Crawford is known for his ability to break opponents down mentally before finishing them physically. His tactical adjustments have been the key to his success, and his ability to switch stances fluidly is something that could cause serious problems for Canelo. The Mexican King has always been methodical in his approach, choosing to counterpunch and explode openings rather than overwhelm opponents with volume. But Crawford's ability to constantly change looks and angles could disrupt Canelo's rhythm in a way that few have been able to.
Bud versus Canelo, based on last fight, is a 50-50. So Canelo fights an undisputed champ, up-and-coming former champion, and an up-and-coming undefeated contender. And somehow those three last opponents are somehow compared to Bud's Madrimov fight, making it a 50-50 fight? Wow.
Canelo's most vocal fans, however, dismiss these claims. They argue that Crawford's success has largely come against smaller fighters who lack the kind of defensive responsibility needed to survive at the elite level in higher weight classes. They point out that Errol Spence Jr., the biggest name on Crawford's resume, was drained and visibly diminished when they fought. Furthermore, many think that Crawford has never felt real power. While he looked dominant against Spence, Sean Porter and Kell Brook, none of those fights hit like Canelo, and unlike Spence, who is flat-footed and there to be hit, Canelo boasts elite head movement and defensive awareness. The belief from Team Canelo is that Crawford will quickly understand he's in with a different kind of animal once the opening bell rings. There's also the question of Canelo's experience at the highest level. He has shared the ring with Floyd Mayweather and Gennady Golovkin, Miguel Cotto, and a long list of top-tier winners. Even in his losses, he's shown an ability to absorb lessons and grow. Crawford, for all his greatness, has never been forced to make those kinds of changes in a fight, but McIntyre and his team don't see that as a disadvantage in their eyes. Crawford hasn't been in those wars because he hasn't needed to be. They think his dominance is a sign of his mastery, not an indication of an easy career path outside the ring. The build-up for this fight has already gotten personal. Álvarez, who usually keeps a cool and professional demeanor, has been more dismissive of Crawford than any other opponent in recent memory. He has made it clear that he doesn't value the challenge, referring to Crawford as a small guy and laughing at the idea that he could be a real threat. Crawford, never one to back down, has fired back at every chance. He thinks Canelo's arrogance will be his downfall, and he's more motivated than ever to expose what he sees as weaknesses in the Mexican superstar. Even during their private meeting with Turki Alalshik, tensions were high, with Canelo allegedly brushing past Crawford with a smirk, only for Crawford to mutter, "Laugh now, cry later."
You know, that's what everybody want to see. The only way they can be answered is if me and Canelo is in the ring and we fight.
For me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in, because you know I don't like to fight guys like.
Yeah. Like you said, I will give you Terence Crawford could be an anomaly. He can, because he's that good of a boxer. But we can't forget Canelo has been in the sport just as long.
There's also speculation about the judges given Canelo's history of getting favorable scorecards in close fights. Crawford's team is well aware of this and has made it clear that they will not leave the result in the hands of the judges. That alone suggests that Crawford will be looking to push the pace early, possibly testing Canelo's gas tank, which has come into question in recent years. Another layer of controversy regarding the fight is the role of Turki Alalshik. Some fans think that the Saudi backer is more invested in making Crawford the star of the event given his admiration for underdog stories. Others argue that Canelo remains the bigger attraction and that the politics behind the scenes will eventually favor him. Regardless, both athletes know that the business side of boxing can be just as ruthless as the sport itself.
In boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, you know, his weight. Yeah. And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do.
A major concern for Canelo's team is Crawford's mindset. They've noted that Crawford is the type of fighter who thrives off being doubted in his eyes. This is just another moment to prove people wrong. He has always believed that the more an opponent underestimates him, the more dangerous he becomes, and despite the size difference, many insiders believe Crawford has the speed and sharpness to land at will if he can keep the fight in the center of the ring. They argue he has a real chance to outbox Canelo over 12 rounds. But if Canelo is able to trap him against the ropes, his body work could take a serious toll, making it difficult for Crawford to sustain his movement over the course of the fight, regardless of how things play out. One thing is clear: this fight is as much about legacy as it is about money. Canelo doesn't want to be the guy who loses to a naturally smaller fighter, and Crawford wants to cement himself as an all-time great by doing what many believe is impossible. With both men unwilling to back down, it's only a matter of time before the talking ends and the punches start flying. The boxing world is watching closely, and no matter who wins, this will be a fight that will be talked about for years to come.
And I can't go down anymore. But you know, like he say, you know, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't wanna get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say this too small.
Crawford, I see he wants to fight. He's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better.
Israel Madrimov's prediction about the upcoming mega fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Álvarez has sparked a lot of discussion. Known for his brutal honesty, Madrimov didn't hold back when asked about the result of this fight, and his answer wasn't what many expected after facing Crawford in a tough battle for the WBA light middleweight title last year. Move is no stranger to the champion's skill. However, his bold stance on how Crawford will fare against Canelo has added fuel to the already blazing fire of speculation surrounding this highly awaited fight. Madrimov's forecast was straightforward. Canelo Álvarez will win, and not just win but do so by decision. His reasoning: the difference in weight groups, it's a very different weight class. Canelo will win, I think, by decision, Madrimov told Boxing News. While many would expect a fighter like Crawford, who has established himself as one of the most skilled and dangerous boxers of his age, to have a chance at taking down the Mexican superstar, Madramov's words put doubt on Crawford's ability to move up to weight classes and claim victory. What made Madramov's statement even more controversial is that it contrasts strongly with the opinions of others in the boxing world. Canelo Álvarez, who holds multiple world titles in the super middleweight division, has a reputation for being a calculating and powerful boxer who thrives against larger opponents. His ability to absorb damage mixed with his punching power has made him a feared figure in the ring. Many observers have claimed that Canelo at 168 pounds will be too much for Crawford to handle, especially since Crawford has been fighting primarily a welterweight.
Keep bringing up Canelo. I think that's weird, you know, because you'd have to gain like, what, 20 pounds? Yeah. But they say that's the money fight. That's the mega fight. That's the money fight. That's the only thing that makes sense for Terence Crawford.
Well, you know what I mean? Heavyweight.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even a fan of that fight. They're too many weight classes apart. And although the skills, Crawford is one of the best fighters that I've seen. Now, Canelo.
While Madramov's take is clearly bold, he's not the only one voicing their opinion on the mega fight. Yaron Boots Ennis, another rising star in the sport, has also joined in, but his view on the fight is far from one-sided. Ennis, known for his slick boxing skills and knockout power, has called the fight a 50-50 battle. He pointed out that Crawford will be putting on an extra 14 pounds to compete at super middleweight, and that could affect his performance. He's going to have to put on an extra 14 pounds, so he might be a little slower, or who knows, he could be faster. I don't know. We'll see on fight night how he'll look, and is mentioned. The idea of Crawford, a fighter known for his speed, agility, and defensive prowess, possibly being slowed down by the extra weight has caused a stir among boxing fans. It's a fair point. Crawford has always relied on his quick reflexes and ability to control the pace of a fight. Moving up in weight could very well alter that dynamic, especially against a fighter like Canelo, who is both physically imposing and incredibly skilled in the art of pressure fighting. While Crawford's move to super middleweight is one of the biggest talking points leading into this showdown, it's also important to consider the factors that make Canelo so dangerous in this weight class. Not only has he proven himself against top-tier opponents like Gennady Golovkin, Caleb Plant, and Billy Joe Saunders, but he has also demonstrated an uncanny ability to adjust his style depending on the opponent, whether it's brawling in close or using his boxing IQ to outmaneuver an opponent. Canelo can do it all.
We're able to land the Canelo Crawford fight, which was announced. I don't know that it's actually official, but it sounds like.
Has the Canelo fight, you know, realistically left your mind once he said he's not interested, or you still pursuing it?
Not at all. You know, I think business talks. You know, with the right, you know, to fight the best fighter in my generation that's out there. You know, he's the most accomplished fighter, and I would just, you know, just like to, you know, fight another great.
Which is a very noble reason. I mean, it's a reason that.
Yet despite all the respect Crawford has won throughout his career, some critics, including Canelo himself, have cast doubt on Crawford's track record. Speaking to TMZ Sports, Canelo acknowledged Crawford's ability, but was quick to downplay his resume, especially when compared to the Mexican star's extensive list of victories. "Look, I respect Terence Crawford. He's very good, but he's just won one big fight. If you see his record, he just beat one good boxer. Other than that, he hasn't fought other good fighters like Spence." Canelo said Canelo's comments were aimed squarely at Crawford's most important win, his victory over Errol Spence Jr. last year. While many consider this to be Crawford's defining moment, Canelo's statement shows his belief that Crawford hasn't faced the same level of competition that he himself has. For Canelo, it's not just about the wins, but about the opponents you've beaten along the way. And for all of Crawford's brilliance in the ring, Canelo's opinion is that Crawford's resume doesn't quite match up. It's not just the size difference that gives Canelo the edge, though his ability to close the distance and apply constant pressure could be a nightmare for Crawford, who thrives when he's in control of the distance in their respective weight classes. Both fighters are masters at dictating the pace of a fight, but in a battle of this magnitude, something will have to give for Crawford. Keeping his trademark speed and movement while adjusting to Canelo's relentless attack is the key problem. Well, how do you think this ends? Share your ideas below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates. See you in the next one.